Hello, happy bank holiday. Now you're going to have to bear with me on this one. This is joined up dots on the background of not joined up dots. So I was listening to Radio 4 this morning and I was hearing about how Donald Trump wants to impose 100% tariffs on films that are made outside of America. Oh, bless you, dog. And then I just thought, well, hang on a minute. Rachel Reeves gave the British film industry 40% business rate relief in February. So that's a good thing. It's not a good thing that we're going to have to pay 100% tariffs if we want our films to go over to America, and apparently that's very bad for the film industry. Then I had an article that was in the Daily or in the Sunday Times sent to me by a friend about the rise of counterfeit cigarettes and counterfeit vapes, which got me thinking about, we've got 40% rate relief on the film industry. There was a tax imposed on vaping, but it's not coming in until October 2026, just to give people time to, I don't know, save the tax. It's £2.20 on 10 ml of vaping liquid. I don't vape, I don't know what that is, but that's what it is. It's a flat rate. And then, of course, we introduced VAT on education in January. Despite having said in the manifesto it was going to be September, we've introduced 20% VAT on education. We've also slapped on national insurance and minimum wage. So the independent sector has been battered by that. So then I started thinking, well, hang on a minute, which one is the most valuable for the British economy? Have we thought about this the right way round? So I started looking at the numbers. So the independent sector made the UK economy £16.5 billion last year. It generated 328,000 jobs. It generated 5.1 billion in tax revenue, and it saved 4.6 billion in state education for children. So that looked to me like a pretty healthy economy. I was like, yeah, that's all right, isn't it? And then we've added VAT onto it and we've sort of killed it. So that was a healthy industry in the UK. Then I looked at the film industry. Now that generates 12.6 billion and 86,000 jobs. So if we do a direct comparison, it's about 4 and a bit billion less than the independent sector and 280,000 jobs less than the independent sector. And then I looked at vaping. Now, vaping is raising about 4.1 billion, so that's significantly less than the film industry and the independent school sector. It's having its tax introduced in 2026, so unlike private schools, who are having that straight away, and unlike the business rates relief for the film industry that had that in February, if you vape, you're fine until October 2026. However, it costs the NHS £132 million annually. That's associated cost with vaping. The smoking industry costs the NHS 12.6 billion. So, and there's been a 237% rise in vaping hospitalisations. So we've got vaping that costs the economy around about £13 billion a year. But we're waiting to tax them, even though it's costing us loads of money and it's taking up loads of space in the NHS and it's clogging up wait lists as well as arteries. And it's really not helping the NHS. We're letting them carry on until October 2026, when there's going to be a flat rate of £2.20. So it won't go up any more than that. That's all you'll have to pay extra. So something that's not adding to the economy very much, but is taking away from the economy, is getting effectively an 18-month grace period. Now, the film industry is adding to the economy, but less so than private schools. So the film industry is adding £12.6 billion to the economy and has 86,000 jobs in it. And they are respected because Rachel Reeves wants to see growth in the economy. So to have growth in the economy, she is supporting the British film industry, even though it earns less than the independent education sector. So we're supporting that industry. And we're also supporting the vaping industry because we've given them a bit of grace. But the biggest earner for the economy is the independent sector out of these three. It's the one that earns the most and it's the one that saves the most, because let's remember, it saves £4.6 billion. I mean, it won't anymore, because we've taxed the hell out of it. But it did save £4.6 billion and it raised £16.5 billion to go back into the economy. So that one was a good earner. Yet what we've done is kill it. So we're no longer earning that. We're definitely not saving that. And we're not raising the 1.7 or the 1.6 billion pound VAT revenue we said we were going to. We're not raising any money, and we're in fact costing more money with the amount of children that are going back into the state system. And of course, the state system needed resources. It needed more money in the first place. So now it needs basically double that. So I'm wondering why Rachel Reeves is supporting the film industry by giving them 40% business rate relief, yet the film industry wasn't earning anywhere near as much as the independent education sector, which of course is a merit good. So if you come out of education, then that benefits all of us. And we're also giving a bit of get out of jail free card to the vaping community because they're allowed to carry on vaping at no extra cost to themselves until October 2026, but to the taxpayer it's costing for £12.6 billion a year, and it's put 237% more what's the word I'm looking for? It's that menopausal brain strain on the NHS. So the rise in vaping hospitalisations, I nearly said hospitalisations, my kids used to call it the hospital. Anyway, 237% rise in vaping hospitalisations. So it doesn't matter which way you look at that, does it? That makes no sense. Like none. And we've just worked that out. It's a bit wordy, it's a bit clunky. Somebody probably could come up with a better PowerPoint. What was that TV programme? Like The Great Egg Race, where I used to explain it all at the end. They'd have been able to do a much better job than I could. You need one of those pendulum things. But you've got the basic gist of it. It is that the independent education sector contributes to the British economy and the vaping sector does not contribute to the British economy, and the British film industry does contribute to the British economy, and I'm all for British film. I mean, Love Actually, yay, but not to the extent of the education sector. And of course, don't forget that we've got the directors, performers, producers of the future within the education sector, particularly some of those that go to the vocational schools, the art schools, RADA, Lambda, all of that. So we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot a bit because we're not producing the next generation of producers, actors, screenwrights, playwrights, because we've taken away their schools because we've added 20% onto VAT, which has meant a lot of these vocational schools are now closing. So even if there is 40% business rates relief, well, it doesn't matter because we haven't got anybody to make the films anyway. Do you see what I mean? There's no joined up thinking there. It's all a bit of a mess. So it's probably not my most eloquent video, but that's my brain is a bit anyway. And I needed to share that with you because I just thought that is absolutely bonkers. Feel free to tidy that up, somebody, in the comments section. Go for your life with much more succinct spreadsheet and I'll happily report that back to everybody. They were my amateur musings. I was rubbish at maths when I was growing up, but I can see things visually and I do think out of the box, and I thunk out the box there and I thunk it made no sense. So Rach, if you're watching this on Bank Holiday Monday, get back to the drawing board. You need to rethunk it and we need to address that PDQ. We need to stop penalising people that would like an independent education for their children for whatever needs necessary, and we need to stop celebrating the vaping sector. Okay? Thanks.